Thank you for joining us this evening for the August 2nd, 2022 Monte Sereno City Council regular meeting. Before this meeting is called to order, I would like to point out a few house rules to assist council members, staff, and members of the public to successfully participate in this meeting. Council members, your microphone is live, so please keep your microphones on mute until you wish to speak. For tonight's meeting, we're using Zoom to host the City Council regular meeting. At the bottom of the Zoom client, there are two icons, chat and raise hand. Please use chat only to report technical issues such as being unable to hear a council member speaking. Please use raise hand to be recognized by the mayor and enabled to speak to the council. To comment under oral communication or on any agenda item, you're allowed 3 minutes to speak per agenda item. Emails limited to 350 words can also be submitted to the city clerk and it will be read into the record. This word limit is set to adhere to the typical 3-minute time allowance. Only attendees using the Zoom application can use the raise hand option to comment. Participants calling in from a telephone will only be able to listen and cannot provide feedback or public comment. Lastly, because we are all not in the same room, all votes at this meeting will be taken by roll call.
Thank you. This meeting is called to order. I request Councilmember Turner to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Waller.
Present.
Councilmember Turner.
Yes.
Councilmember Loophole.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem McKim.
Present.
And Mayor Elahi.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the orders of the day? Anybody needs? All right. If none, are there any presentations that we have? I don't believe that. Oral communications. Have we received any oral communications other than matters that are on the agenda?
We do have a hand raised for oral communications.
All right.
It's for the person listed as 538767.
If you want to identify, yeah, please go ahead. If you have something to discuss that's not on the agenda, this is a good time to do it. Are you there? 538767. All right, let's go on. I guess maybe they'll come back to us. Are there any written communications?
No written communications.
All right, the consent calendar. Does anybody wish to pull any item from the consent calendar? I don't have anybody pulling anything. Does any member of the public wish to pull any matter from the consent calendar? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Lawler.
I'll second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem McKim. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Turner.
Yes.
Councilmember Loophole.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawler.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKim.
Aye.
And Mayor Elahi.
Aye. Motion is approved. Thank you.
Motion passes 5-0. Sorry about that.
No problem. All right, so then we go to the public hearings. The first matter on public hearing is considered application for a use permit for a new tennis court. I understand there's a staff report. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am Diana Perkins, the city's planner. This use permit application is for a 5,022 square foot tennis court in the backyard of the property at 18216 Daves Avenue. A use permit is required for all sport courts that exceed 3,000 square feet in size. As detailed in the staff report, the proposed project meets all of the requirements for a sport court from the municipal code. Most notably is the screening requirements from view of other properties. The tennis court is proposed to have a 10-foot high fence around it, which will be dark green in color. And that fence and the court are proposed to be screened from view from the neighboring property to the south with 18 Swan Hill olive trees, and from the Daves Avenue side with 19 Pacific wax myrtle trees. This project was heard by the Site and Architectural Commission at their July 6th meeting. The commission recommended that the city council approve the use permit, and staff also recommends that the city council approve the use permit with the conditions in the draft resolution that is attached to the staff report. And this completes my report tonight, and I am available to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? Councilmember Lawler, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question. So it looks like it's sunken, is that correct? And how many feet down is that?
It is on one side. Sorry, let me.
Because I can see the staircase going down to it. So it must be.
Correct. So it is about 3.5 feet.
Okay. And then what's the distance from the street from Dave's to the fence of the tennis court?
To the fence of the tennis court from the property line is 25 feet.
Okay. So any errant shots will still not go over onto Dave's. That was something I was thinking of. But anyway, that's it. And that looks great. It's hard true, is that right?
For the paving material, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Turner.
Yes, I would like to ask about the lighting for the tennis court. Usually when people have tennis courts, the light becomes a problem for the neighbors around it. If the lights are on past a certain time at night, have you considered any of that?
Yes, the municipal code does actually prohibits any lighting, any artificial lighting on a sport court, and there is no lighting proposed to be added to the court area.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Mayor Pro Tem Mekachek.
Yes, and forgive me, I don't have the packet in front of me right at the moment. Were any neighbors opposed to this or in favor of it? I did see the one letter or email from the instructor, but I was wondering about the neighbors in the vicinity.
So the only neighbor that we heard from, is the neighbor. I'm just confirming their location. Is the neighbor to the west along Daves Avenue, and they had sent in a letter in support of the application. We did not receive any comments or questions from other neighbors.
Thank you.
All right, so to the public, any member of the public have any questions? I don't see any hand raised. So I'll bring it back to council for discussion. Any member wishes to discuss this matter further? If not, look forward to a motion.
I'd like
Make that
to,
motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all right, roll call please.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Councilmember Turner,
Yes,
Councilmember Leopold,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mekachek,
Aye.
and Mayor Alavi.
Aye,
And that motion passes 5-0.
thank you.
Mayor, before we move forward, there is a hand raised from the participant 538767. Did you want to try obtaining his oral communication at this point, or did you want to wait?
Let's just go to the, I don't know if he wants to talk about this one or something else, but let's go to the next item and then we can ask him
Okay.
to comment. Thank you for pointing it out. The next item we have appointing a member to the 2023 Monte Sereno Youth Commission. So, do we have staff report on that?
Hi, Mayor and Council. This is Michelle Estevillo, City Clerk for City of Monte Sereno. At the council's May meeting, the council appointed 7 commissioners to the Youth Commission. The council directed staff to extend the recruitment to obtain more applicants with a deadline of July 31st. The city did receive one additional applicant for the 2022-23 Youth Commission timeframe, and the person's application is in the packet, and the applicant is actually here to speak to the council as well. And that's the end of my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. The applicant is Yash Sharma.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, Mr. Sharma, if you'd like to address this would be a good time for you to do it.
Hi, I'm Yash Sharma. So do you want me to say what exactly would you like me to talk about?
Just a little bit about yourself and why would you like to serve on the Youth Commission?
Okay, so hi, I'm Yash Sharma. I'm 14 years old. I am incoming freshman at Saratoga High. I stay in Monte Sereno though. I would like to join the Youth Commission specifically because I would like to, number one, add on a new perspective to the Youth Commission. I believe that my perspective from my background of technology could help. I would like to integrate technology into the community to specifically solve a few problems related to the community, such as lighting issues, security camera issues, issues on issues, just issues anywhere generally. And furthermore, I'd like to kind of bring more youths to understand technology better by hosting events and events and seminars. I enjoy teaching machine learning and STEM. So technology is always something I've wanted to kind of integrate into the community and teach youths more about it. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for applying. And we look forward to having you help us with the Youth Commission. Are there any other members of the public who wish to address us on this matter? If not, we'll bring it back.
We do have a hand raised by
The 538-767 has their hands raised since the beginning. If there's somebody behind that, please go ahead and address us. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody.
You're on mute. Okay.
538-67, you're on mute. Did you want to say anything? All right, I guess we will have to ignore that one more time. Let's bring it back to staff. If council members have any questions of staff or the Youth Commissioner, please go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem McKim.
I'd like to make a motion appointing Mr. Sharma to the Youth Commission.
And I'll
All right, Councilmember Turner was muted, but I think she seconded the motion.
Yes.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Councilmember Waller,
Yes.
Councilmember Leopold,
Yes.
Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKim,
Aye.
and Mayor Elahi.
Aye.
That motion passes 5-0.
And welcome to the Youth Commission, Mr. Sharma. Look forward to great things from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next item we have is on the agenda is the considering and designating a voting delegate and alternate to the League of California Cities. Staff report, please. Is there a staff report? Are you guys on mute or?
Hi, Mayor. This is Steve Leonardis, City Manager. Sorry, I was not promoted as a panelist yet. Annually, the council is called upon to designate one voting delegate from our sitting city council to serve as the voting delegate for the League of California Cities annual conference. We also recommend an alternative to the delegate, just in case there is a problem with the delegate being able to attend the meeting. So tonight before you is those requests in the staff report. The council can choose a voting delegate for League of Cities and the alternative voting delegate to represent the city of Monte Sereno at the annual League of Cities Conference. I am available for questions. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions of staff? If not, we'll go to the public. I'm sorry, Councilmember Turner, please go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to ask who plans to go to the League of Cities.
I know Councilmember Turner has signed up for it, so I assume you're going.
Yes,
All
but
right.
I didn't know if anybody else was going.
Is anybody else signed up to go? Or wants to go?
Presently, Mayor, Councilmember Turner is the only council member signed up to go. However, the invitation is open to all council members should they decide to attend the conference in person.
Yeah,
The city will make arrangements and cover the cost.
I plan on going also. Is there anybody else who wants to go? All right. I think we can go to selecting a delegate. I would move to have Councilmember Turner designated as the voting delegate for the city council, if that's okay with her.
Yeah, that's fine. I plan to go there with other council members. We're gonna carpool together.
Okay. All right, so we've got Councilmember Turner as the voting delegate, and I guess I'll be the alternate, unless somebody else also wants to go. Mayor Pro Tem Mekachek, good opportunity for you to go.
Unfortunately, I'll have to decline due to other commitments. Thank you.
All right, didn't mean to put you on the spot there. Thank you. All right.
Could I make a motion then?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion appointing Councilmember Turner as the voting delegate and Mayor Elahi as the alternate voting delegate.
I'll second that.
Okay. Councilmember Turner,
Yes,
Councilmember Lupul,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mekachek,
Aye.
and Mayor Elahi.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
Excellent. Let's go on to the next item, which has to do with considering revisions to chapter 12.03 of the Monte Sereno Muni Code pertaining to youth commissions, and consider adding an attendance policy. If we can have a staff report on that, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Stephen Leonardis, City Manager, once again. Over the course of my tenure as Monte Sereno City Manager, I have attended most of the Youth Commission meetings, as well as Councilmember Lawler has attended, and as well as City Clerk Michelle Estebillo, and more recently, Deputy City Clerk Bloisy Gonzalez Langarica. And there has been some issues with attendance with the youth commissioners, primarily when they have finals around the December month. But on occasion, there has been issues finding a quorum among youth commissioners, and we have had to cancel some of our meetings. So it was recommended by, I think, Councilmember Lawler at our strategic goals, annual strategic goals meeting, that we amend the attendance policy in the city code, rather than have it be 3 consecutive missed meetings, have it be 2 consecutive missed meetings. In addition, Councilmember Lawler had some great ideas about doing like a Google poll or doodle poll or whatever we call it up front at the beginning of the year when we are nominating the youth commissioners to be the officers and the chairs and those things, and find out if and when they have vacation plans, et cetera, because we do want to confirm a quorum. Now, keep in mind the whole time that since I've taken over the Youth Commission, it has been a pandemic, and it has been remote meetings and Zoom meetings, and it, you know, it's been a little, I would say, less engaging for the Youth Commission not to come in person and have the pizza and the, you know, have the Christmas parade, and we used to have an ice cream party and all those kinds of things. But we're hoping we can step that up this season coming up in August, which we're already in August, coming up this month, I guess, later this month, when we begin the Youth Commission meetings again. And but nevertheless, I think it would be good to amend the policy. Staff's recommendation, again, once again, is to have it rather read 3 consecutive missed meetings, have it be amended to 2 consecutive missed meetings. And if they miss 2 without, good reason, they will be forfeiting their position on the Youth Commission. And that concludes my report. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Yeah, the Youth Commission is an important part of Monte Sereno, so we do need to make them active, and probably that's one good reason to go to face-to-face meetings, because I think the youth probably would definitely prefer face-to-face, just as some of us would. So thank you for that report. Are there any questions for staff? And thank you, Councilor Lawler, for putting in the effort on the Youth Commission and bringing that before us, because that's really an important commission. Are there any members of the public who wish to address council on this matter?
We do have a raised hand by 538-767. Did you want to try again?
538-767. Did you want to say anything? Okay, hearing none. I think we can ignore that hand from now on, unless he lowers it and then raises it again. Otherwise, let's come back to staff. Any questions I'm sorry, come back to City Council. Any questions of staff from council? If not, time for motion. Mayor Pro Tem Mekachek.
Yes, I would like to just verify with Council Member Lawler that that she believes that this will help with the attendance and with moving forward. Both of my children were on the Youth Commission and they really enjoyed it, but it was not during the pandemic. And if Council Member Lawler believes this is a good idea, then I would like to put forward a motion. So if you could answer that, Council Member Lawler.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, or Mayor Pro Tem, I should say. Yeah, so what we've been dealing with since 2020, or actually since Steve started, really 2019, was, and I know Andrea had trouble too, getting a quorum. And I realized that basically the way it's written now is that youth commissioners could miss 2/3 of their meetings. So they were only really compelled to attend 1/3 of their meetings, and they have 9 meetings a year. So I think we had so much difficulty this past year. I think it's really important that our youth who are committed to showing up can show up, and that there's a quorum. So it's not really fair to the rest of the committee when you have members that really aren't committed. So I'd like to try this to narrow it down to 2, and that they would be compelled to attend 66% of their meetings versus just 1/3. So I do think it will work. And obviously there's room for nuance when it comes to excuses or excused absences. So I'm certain we can be quite fair on that. Thank you.
Then I'll make the motion.
And council,
Attorney Reardon, please go ahead.
Just for clarification, because city staff are going to need to bring back an ordinance to make these sorts of revisions. Is the council wishing to remove the requirement that the meetings be consecutive? Additionally, the council is authorized to remove any member of any commission with or without cause, because all members of any appointed body serve at the pleasure of the city council under state law. So with respect to this code provision, it doesn't actually state who would be authorized to remove people for failure to properly attend meetings. Or who would be potentially authorized to excuse absences. So unfortunately, that would likely require us to come back to council unless we address this in the course of our code changes. So I'm hoping the council can provide some direction with respect to, whether or not you'd like to have, allow for people to miss up to 2 consecutive meetings. And, whether you'd like to say, for example, have the city manager have the authority to excuse absences, and then we can bring back an ordinance to enact whatever provisions the council desires.
That sounds fine to me as a council member.
I agree.
Yeah, I think they're looking for some directions also, though. So we want to say that the ad hoc committee chair has the can designate, can do the removal or excuse absence,
I thought it was the city manager.
or we could say the city manager. So which way do you want to go?
I would say city manager. Steve has been very active with the youth commission, I think. And then again, any kind of removal does require a majority vote of the council. So it would really be, there's certain excused absences that are, within reason. So I think he can certainly make those determinations.
So the city manager can excuse, and then if he doesn't excuse, he'll come before council. Basically, okay. Can we, does that work, Attorney?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
We can bring back something that says exactly that.
great. Thank you so much. And I don't know, do we need to do a motion on that or not?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead.
I got a motion by Councilmember Mekachek. I don't have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Councilmember Leopold,
Yes.
Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Mayor Potent Mekachek,
Aye.
and Mayor Leahy. That motion passes 5. Mayor Leahy?
yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you. That gets us to our next item, which is a discussion and direction regarding the City of Monte Sereno's continued membership in the Santa Clara County Cities Association. Do you have a staff report on that?
Mayor, this is Steve Leonardis again, once again, city manager. Sorry for my delay with the mute button here. As was brought forth as a potential agenda item earlier in the year, there was discussion surrounding the cities association and whether the city of Monte Sereno could or should continue its membership in the cities association. There were some concerns about the disparity of the amount that the city of Monte Sereno is paying for the annual dues. Attached to the staff report is a comparison of what other cities are paying for their annual membership dues. And in a nutshell, you have the city of San Jose that has almost 1 million people paying about $12,000, and the city of Monte Sereno, which has 3,500 people paying $6,800. So proportionally, it appears that we're paying a great percentage for our population to be members of the cities association. And I think this was of some concern to the council, at least one council member, possibly more than one council member. So that is the gist of the item this evening. Now, Monte Sereno is paid for this year. If council were to decide to discontinue membership, it would begin in the next fiscal year, which I believe is what they call the 22-23 fiscal year. And that would be next July 1st. But Monte Sereno has paid the bill that was due this past July 1st. So we are in the Cities Association at least until that time, pending further council direction. And we are available for questions. Oh, I want to add one thing. I just emailed you correspondence we received from the Cities Association early today. I don't know if you can all access your email and take a look at it. We received a letter. They were requesting that we postpone this agenda item, but it was too late for us to postpone the agenda item. It was already posted. However, council could take the letter into consideration. It should be in your mailboxes now. We're open for questions.
Thank you, City Manager. Do we have, does City Council have any questions of staff?
Yes.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem Mekachek.
So, Mr. Leonardis, the city of Monte Sereno was paid up until June.
Here's the contact info for Steve.
We're paid up to until June 30th, 2023. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. It strikes me that what we should do is, rather than making a decision now, is we should make a decision sometime in April or May and determine, based on our involvement, and if we believe that it is a benefit or not, to continuing, then we make a decision at that point in time. Having said that, I do believe that another consideration is that if there was litigation, then we could be held liable for more than that amount. And I think that's what prompted this discussion. Can you comment on that? That's my first question. And then has the city attorney reviewed what our maximum liability could be under this? Like, is there a limitation of liability to being in the city's association to being the maximum of the fees paid, for example? Those are my two questions. Thank you.
I will handle the questions with respect to litigation and liability. And I will let the city manager handle the remaining ones. The city association is formed between the various cities pursuant to a 1990 agreement, which was amended and restated in 1995. There is no particular limitation on liability with respect to the members participating because the city's association is an unincorporated association. There have been efforts underway to reform the city's association as a JPA. That would mean that the JPA is its own separate legal entity, and that when there are issues that arise with the city's association, that typically you could not pass through claims to the city because it would not be the same entity as the city's association. It would be legally distinct. There are indemnity provisions under the present cities association agreement. So the city may have some potential defenses with respect to claims and other things that may arise if it continues to participate in the cities association present form. Basically, each of the members that participate are supposed to indemnify and defend the other members for claims caused by those cities' representatives. So, it's not entirely free for all with respect to liability, but it is, at least with respect to the current way that the city's association is structured. If the city decides to continue participation, I would certainly engage in discussions with their general counsel and with all of the other city attorneys that participate about reforming the city's association as a JPA in order to limit the city's liability. Hope that helps.
Thank you. Yeah, Councilmember Turner.
Yes, I am kind of surprised that this is an agenda item again, I think the third time this year. My main concern in 2021 with the city's association was being on the hook for the roundtable expenses. Now, I understand that the roundtable has now been dissolved, so this is no longer an issue. I am somewhat ambivalent about this, but since I'm no longer in the organization, I don't know the current issues, but I wanted to bring up one concern that you guys may want to look at, right? I think the issue has to do with the fact that if you look at the cities association, 2/3 of the cities association are large cities like San Jose, Santa Clara, right? And 1/3 are the smaller cities like Monte Sereno, Los Altos Hills, Cupertino, Palo Alto. Yet when we make decisions with cities association, the larger cities tend to dominate the outcome of the vote. And that's why you see the fees are higher for the smaller cities, because when we object to it, the larger city says, no, we're okay with it, right? So I think one of the things we need to look at is, because the smaller cities are represented only by 1/3 of the votes, therefore we're easily outvoted. One of the talks that some of the smaller cities were thinking about is to have a separate association of smaller cities. And this way we can have, an equal vote on what that would be. So since you are both on the committee at this time, I would suggest that you should look at forming probably a separate association for smaller cities where we do share common interests, and it may be worthwhile to explore the options. Let me bring an example. For example, SB 9, the smaller cities would have been impacted more than the larger cities, and we kept saying, no, don't vote for SB 9. And the larger city says, yes, we will vote oppose unless amended. And we said, no, you should vote oppose. And by the time they listened to what we were saying, it was basically too late. So those are some of the issues that we need to look at. So it's not just, do we want to drop out or not? Do we want to address some of the issues with the infrastructure of that committee? So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilmember Turner. Any other council member have any questions of staff? Mayor Pro Tem Makachak? You're on mute.
Yes, yes. How would we be the first small city or the first city to withdraw from the cities association? And what type of reaction are we going to get if we were to withdraw? Any speculation on that would be very helpful from either staff or from Councilmember Turner.
I mean, I can speak to that. However, I can't go into a lot of detail. I know that certain cities, smaller cities, are looking into that possibility. Now, I think it would require, leadership and spearheading that to actually get it into reality. Okay, so. But at this point, I can't speak for which cities are looking at it. I know there are some. So perhaps we could take a look at that. I mean, I am all for equal voting rather than having the larger cities dictate what smaller cities can do.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? I just wanted, since I've been serving on the Cities Association, when I went in as your representative on the Cities Association, I was concerned about things that Councilmember Turner has brought up. And we talked about some of that. And one effect has been very profound, which is the fees that the city of San Jose is now paying has jumped from $13,000 to $50,000 annually. So they took that into account, that they have more than 50% of the population, and they're still not paying 50% of the fees, but they're at least jumped it 3 or 4 times. And fees for some of the other larger cities also jumped, but the city of Monte Sereno fees did not jump. So our dues are still the same. I was looking at the numbers at this point, as far as the makeup of the 15 cities is concerned, about 8 of them are paying less than 15,000. So technically, maybe 8 of them are smaller cities, and about 7 of them are the larger cities. And Cupertino is paying just a little over 15. San Jose is paying 50,000. So some of that issues with the fees that the city was paying based on our population have been addressed. They could be addressed some more. The second major issue that concerned me had to do with liability, because when the liability comes up, everybody is liable, and yeah, we can sue each other, but nobody wants to be seeking indemnification from another city and filing another lawsuit. So that needs to be addressed, and I think that would be one of the things we can ask the Cities Association to do, is to limit the liability of smaller cities in some ways, and Attorney Rudin can probably be very helpful in drafting that. The third issue that Councilmember Turner brought up is that the Cities Association seems to neglect what the small cities need to address. And I think that definitely needs to be addressed. And one way to address that would be to impress upon Cities Association when they go out and support when they go out and support certain legislative issues, they should try to do a carve out for smaller cities. So for example, SB 9, there should have been a carve out saying, okay, SB9 is a great rule, but don't apply it to cities that are less than 10,000 people or some other cities. So that's another issue we need to address and see if the city association responds to that or not. So those, I thought I'd share those with you, and that's the one reason why I was interested in bringing it to council, so we can all discuss it, and then as a united front, we can tell the cities association, hey, this is what we need if you want us to, if it's worth it for you to have us to stay with you guys. If not, I guess we all try to figure out alternates. So at this time, are there any of the city council members have any? We do have some members of the public who want to address us. And are there any members of the public of the city council who have any further questions before I go to the public? If not, let's go ahead and I'm sorry, Councilmember Turner, Lawler, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna posit the question, what have we gained from being a part of this association over the years? I mean, are the benefits there? And like you said, I am concerned about the equality of the representation. So we really have to consider whether or not this is actually helping us. That's all.
Yeah, and that's why we have this discussion. So let me suggest we go to the public and see if Mayor Margaret Abakoga from Campbell is here. And we also received a letter. I had contacted the City Association President, Cheppy Jones, who's Vice Mayor of San Jose, I believe. And he has sent a letter saying, you know, he wants to address us more fully, wants to consider the things that we have and he's asking for this matter to be postponed for a couple of months. But if it's okay with you, I'd like to go to Margaret Abakoga to have her address us.
Thank you, Mayor Elahi, and good evening, honorable council members. I'm Margaret Abakoga, current council member and former mayor of the city of Mountain View, and current first vice president for the Cities Association of Santa Clara County. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this item. I would just start by saying that it does matter. I believe it does matter to have Monte Sereno a part of the Cities Association. I've had the opportunity to serve for about close to a decade on the Cities Association board, and really have seen the value of having a collaborative and a unified voice on regional issues, and even more, I'd say that's become a growing. We've had a growing influence when state legislators want to hear about, you know, where cities stand on issues. They actually now ask, where does the Cities Association stand? So I think that's very important. Over the years, benefits that have come out of it, that Monte Sereno has been a big part of, the Silicon Valley Clean Energy actually formed out of conversations from the Cities Association. And we appreciate Mayor Lahi and Councilmember Medichek's participation on that board during COVID. And I know Councilmember Lawler was a participant. We met, all the mayors of all the cities met with the county weekly, every Saturday morning at 9:30. And that also came out of the Cities Association. We wrote a letter, a joint letter signed by all the mayors asking the county to, to provide testing in all parts of the county. So that's how that meeting started, and we met for probably 2 years to go over a number of issues during COVID. Also the single-use bag ban, and moving forward, there will be issues, regional issues, such as some talk about a Bay Area-wide funding ballot measure for housing and transportation. And so I anticipate that we will be looked to for our positions on issues like that. I appreciate Mayor Lahi's comments. We are trying to do some restructuring. So the dues, I think as it was pointed out, the one in the staff report was the last year's dues. We did restructure the dues somewhat to address the issue of population. We're actually also directed staff to come back to us with another revision to that. So you should see that. But we are one city, one voice. No city has more say than another. That's part of the reason why the dues are the way they are. But I think key is that we really want to continue to have as much as possible a unified voice. And I say I've really learned a lot about all the cities from my participation. And I feel like it's helped me in advocating for our county when it comes to regional issues at the regional level. So thank you very much. I hope that you will continue to be a part of the Cities Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Evacoga, for making yourself available and sharing your thoughts with us. All right, so are there any other members of the public who wish to address us?
The hand was raised for 538-767 again. If you want to.
All right, you said there's a hand raised or no?
Yeah, it's for 538-767 again. And
It's no longer raised, I don't think.
are you?
Okay, 538-767. I guess you raised again. Did you want to say anything?
Yes, my name is Adesh Kumar.
Okay, yeah, I think we missed you the last 3 times, so please go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't follow with the numbers you're calling. If you call my name, I would know who you are talking to.
That's what's showing up on your screen.
Well, that's the password they gave me. Anyway, I think the issue here is something that has been going on for years and years. And I have sent several documents, pictures and all to the city manager, I spoke to Sean also about a year ago on this matter. It is to do with the street disruption on parking, putting garbage bins out, and so on and so forth. And then I also have is the gardener comes, he's got a trailer parked in front of the bushes. He can't do that. And somebody else comes to my house, my maid comes there, she brings me food, and she can't bring the food inside because the cars are blocking it. And so it's very hard for me to continue live like this. I've asked people to please, and I even put a cone there, people move the cone. And I have requested numerous times, please do something about the disruption on the parking, because I cannot function like this. And back in 1989, no, I think it was 2009, I had a petition signed by 7 neighbors on the street on the behest of city manager Brian Leventhal. The matter was finally heard a year later, and the 3 neighbors objected to putting any kind of signs or restrictions, and they said, well, we will not put the things out on garbage nights. It's all ignored. A lot of those people are gone, some people have passed on. And so here I am, I'm trying to park or put my garbage bins between a car and another car. So I have requested so many times, please stop this overnight parking. Because besides all that nuisance to me, there has been 3 vehicles that recently have been cited as abandoned vehicles. And this last time was July 4th. There was 1 vehicle parked for 4 days. And of course, after the 4th day, that vehicle went. It was unregistered, by the way. I have pictures of everything. Then the next day, another car comes, and that parks there for another 4 days. So I thought, well, I should call the police now. So I called the police, and the police says, well, we'll look into it and get back to you. 2 days later, I called them. I said, can you give me a case number? They said, well, the parking person has been off, so they will look into it. 3 days later on, I saw a sign on the car that this was on the 3rd of July or the 13th of July. You have 10 days to remove the car. So on the 12th day, the car disappeared.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Your time is up. We appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Are there any other members of the public who wish to address us? If not, we'll bring it back to council for discussion of this agenda item that we have. And right now we're discussing the City of Monte Sereno's continued membership in the Santa Clara County Cities Association. Does anybody else wish to discuss anything further? Councilmember Lawler, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you to Councilmember Abekoga for highlighting the value of Cities Association. I appreciate that. And since we've already paid for the year, I suppose that we still have time to determine whether or not we will continue the year after.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Magachak.
I also would like to thank the Honorable Margaret Abekoga for attending our meeting tonight. And I think that I concur with Councilmember Lawler that we should continue and reevaluate this in the first quarter of 2020, calendar 2023. And determine the value of it and participation in it. But I do feel that there has to be some value in it. The question is how much. And I will endeavor to participate more in those meetings, which I have been unable to date.
Thank you.
I was going to say because Mayor Elahi has been participating.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, I hope you're getting notices, and so hopefully you can join me on some of those, or at least take over, I guess, in some of those. Any other comments from council? Yeah, my thought is, I think we've discussed this item. There's really some important stuff the cities can do. But we do want the Cities Association to be responsive to what we are concerned about. So I'd like to put a smaller time window on it rather than a 6-month time window. And maybe hopefully give enough time to the Cities Association to address some of our concern. I think the billing question has almost been addressed. The liability needs to be addressed. And then the thing I am really interested in is to see if the City Council can move forward with some kind of an understanding that when they support an agenda item, that there be a carve out for the smaller cities. So I would ask that we move it to about October or the October timeframe in which to reconsider this, and also have a letter sent to the Cities Association saying that's what we consider. These are our concerns, and we'd appreciate working with you to try to address those. So I'll leave that up to you guys if you want to make a motion along those lines. Yeah. Councilmember Luthor.
Okay, I'll make that motion for you as our primary liaison to draft that letter you described with those 3 or so elements to bring those formally to the attention of the Cities Association, and then to bring this back to us with a response sometime in the October timeframe. If you've gotten responses, and put it back on calendar for us then.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Mayor Pro Tem Makachek. A roll call, please.
Councilmember Turner?
Yes, yes.
Councilmember Lawler?
Yes.
Councilmember Luthor?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Makachek?
Aye.
And Mayor Elahi?
Aye.
And that motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And I think we're now making progress. Hopefully we can get Councilor Luthor out by 9 p.m. The ad hoc committees are coming up for revision. I think they're good for about 1 year, and then they have to be reappointed. And if you can have a staff report on that, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Steve again, City Manager. I wanted to update the council. A couple years ago, we came up with the idea of doing a mid-year review of the ad hoc committee appointments after we adopt the budget and after our recess. And the definition of an ad hoc committee is a committee that is supposed to last for 1 year to accomplish a task, usually attended by 2 council members who work on a project on behalf of the city. And the second opportunity for ad hoc appointments comes in December when we appoint the new mayor and the new mayor pro tem. But this is the opportunity, if you look at the attachment of the existing ad hoc committee appointments, to do some revisions. And in addition to that, staff has picked from the strategic goals 5 items that we think we can achieve between now and the end of the year, writing staff reports on. So there's also what we call the work plan derived from the strategic goals for the remainder of our calendar year that we put in some proposed timeframes of when those items could potentially be completed. So those are what is in the report this evening. We're available to answer questions, but staff does recommend council take a look at the ad hoc committee appointments as were drafted last August and the ones that were drafted last December, and handle the revisions, determine which ones are still relevant, if any changes should be made. Again, the ones that expire on August 3rd or were appointed August 3rd of 2021, they're now up at 1 year, so they should either be continued or, you know, potentially eliminated, or at least discussed.
Thank you. And do we have listings of all the ad hoc committees, or are we missing any?
So we have,
These are all the ones that were on August 3rd, basically. There was about 5 on August 3rd.
yes, I think one that is missing is the finance ad hoc committee, and I think that is because that was adopted by a separate motion, but we can certainly add that to this list. As you can see, we have some updates which need to be made to the list. But that is one of the updates that can be made, where we put the finance ad hoc committee consisting of Mayor Elahi and Mayor Pro Tem Mekchek.
Okay.
And my recommendation as city attorney is that if the city council desires to continue the finance ad hoc committee, that it be made a standing committee subject to the Brown Act.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of staff? So we have all the members on these committees from last year. Does anybody wish to change membership or seek appointment to some other committee? If not, we can reappoint all the ones that are on there as they are right now. So any discussion on that? Actually, before we do to the motion, I guess we do have to invite public comment. Is any member of the public wish to comment on ad hoc committees?
And Mayor, you know, one thing I wanted to add is the ones that are August 3rd, expire on August 3rd, 2021, those are the ones that should be primarily addressed. The ones on December 21st, January 18th, those do not need to be addressed this evening.
Sounds good. Yeah, and that's probably the right way to do it, because at that time we'll have a new elected council, so they should be able to choose who they elect or appoint. Is any questions of staff? No, and no member of the public wanted to ask any questions, so we're back to city council for discussion. So the list that you see in front of you, we're appointing the housing ad hoc, the Veterans Memorial, the Operations and Outreach Committee, the Climate Action ad hoc. Those are the 4 that were appointed on August 3rd, and then the Finance Committee was also, that's not on that list, but was also appointed on August 3rd. And the question is whether we should continue it as an ad hoc or whether we should make it a proper Brown Act standing committee or not. So let's just first consider the ones that are scheduled for expiration on August 3rd. Can I have a motion to approve all the members that are currently members of those ad hocs and that they continue for another year through August 3rd, 2022? Or should we make them continue till January 18, 2022? I'll wait for your guys' motion, because we will have a new city council in December, I guess, so it may be appropriate to continue till December. Councilmember Luthor, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, Mayor, I think you make a good point. And I would suggest, I don't know if anyone has any opinions about whether these 1, 2, 3, 4 committees kind of as populated and as they exist now are the 4 that we want to continue. And I would suggest that we do them through the last meeting in December or the first meeting in January, whichever, I guess, probably last meeting in December, and then the first meeting in January, the new mayor can repopulate them and decide what continues and what doesn't continue. So I would make that motion subject to anybody else's comments if anybody has any changes or different ideas.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, so the motion is basically to continue the all the committees that were scheduled for August 3rd. That would be the Housing Ledge Committee, the Veterans Memorial, the Operations and Outreach Committee, and the Climate Ad Hoc Committee, and the Finance Ad Hoc Committee through January. And I think at that time may be appropriate to consider whether you want to make a permanent committee subject to Brown Act. I think the 6-month time period may not be enough for us to look at it. So is that your motion, Councilmember Luto?
Yes, although subject to Mr. Ridden's comment about the Finance Committee, whether there is a need to make that into a standing committee at this time, or if we're okay to make it 6 months, then I would roll it in with our group there.
Yeah, my suggestion is because the Brown Act provides that a standing committee of a legislative body, irrespective of its composition, with continuing subject matter jurisdiction, that is created by any sort of formal action of the legislative body, i.e. a vote of the city council, is a Brown Act body. Full stop. So regardless, if you're creating and with most cities, a finance committee is a standing committee of the city. So I would suggest to you folks that if there is a particular need to have a finance committee that overlooks all of the city's finances and has continuing jurisdiction over the city's finances as a whole, rather than, there's like a specific thing like a committee to review the budget or a committee to, do something specific. Chances are that it would be a body subject to the Brown Act. So I would recommend compliance if you're going to continue a finance committee of any sort, unless in a very, very specific task.
So is that something that we could choose to do today, or would we need to notice the standing committee decision for the next meeting if people want to go forward with that idea?
How did we notice this? If you're going to create a standing finance committee, I would recommend that we actually have it as its own agenda item for that reason, as you mentioned, because this is on the agenda as consider revisions to our ad hoc committees.
All right, so my suggestion would be to go forward with the 4 August 3rd committees and to visit the issue of the Finance Committee at our next meeting, if you're okay with that, Mayor.
I think we should continue the Finance Committee until the next hearing, and we can agendize it for September or August, October. That way we still have a committee in place, otherwise we won't have a committee in place. And then continue and have it agendized to be made a standard committee and we can put it on the September first meeting in September. Would that give you enough time, Mr. Leonardis?
Yes.
Okay, that would be my thought.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to continue the Finance Ad Hoc Committee as structured until at least the first meeting in September, at which time we can revisit the idea of noticing that as a potential standing committee.
Thank you. And I think Mayor Pro Tem Makachak, you had seconded that motion?
Yes, I did.
As a revised.
And I agree to the amendment.
Thank
or
you.
the refinement.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Makachak,
Aye.
and Mayor Lahey.
Aye.
That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. All right, and also attached to this particular action item, you had some other attachments. I don't know if you need to just go over that, or those are just for information purposes, the future work items and
Yes, so thank you, Mayor, for highlighting that. We have sort of the calendar for the rest of the year. You can see August 2nd tonight. We had a pretty full agenda, and you can see all the items are crossed off. You can see August 16th coming up, what we have proposed so far. Of course, these things can and will potentially change as items are added. As was just mentioned, September 6th, we will be adding the standing committee to that agenda. as well as we have the item for the user and regulatory fees. But you can see as time marches forward, we have certain kind of standing items that we do on an annual basis, and then we plug in the additional items. The 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet points, which were attached to this calendar at the end, are things that we think that we could have for council hearing directly derived from our strategic goals, after our budget hearing and all those, what we're calling, future work items or the work plan that we will be plugging in and or completing by the end of this calendar year. For instance, the housing element update. We hope to have that adopted at our, probably it has to be adopted by our December 20th meeting. User and regulatory fees, we already have that plugged in for September 6th. Hiring a building inspector, code enforcement officer, one of our strategic goals. We'll be doing interviews for the candidates we received the week of October 15th. Sometime in September, we will be announcing who that is to council. Updating the REACH codes, hoping to have those wrapped up November and December this year. And there was mention of the wireless ordinance. I have to work with Mr. Rudin on that to see if we can meet a time frame in the fall to update the wireless ordinance, another one of our strategic goals. But the idea is to knock as many of these strategic goals that council had come up with prior to our budget hearing and before the end of the year, and continue to chip away at those goals and get those items heard and hopefully put into legislation, law, ordinances, etc., so the city can achieve those goals.
Thank you, City Manager. And I understand you'll be providing us a more detailed quarterly report hopefully next time. Or is this?
That is correct. I would have had that ready this evening, but we had so many other items to accomplish, and we had the other meeting prior to our meeting, so that one was one that could wait. But as you can see, August 16th in the calendar, we have the stormwater permit presentation. We have Citizen of the Year, which is new for us. That was one of our strategic goal items. CEQA Fix Update, Manager's Quarterly Report. Those are the items we have on deck for August 16th, which is our next meeting so far.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Councilmember Turner, you had your hand up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Are we on council member comments? I have a question.
Yeah, I think we kind of slipped into it. So let me just formally announce it, I guess. We are now on committee commission reports.
Okay, so I have a question for if Diana Perkins is still here. I made a call to one of our residents. He's willing to do an ADU now, but he's willing to do 2 ADUs. Now, I understand with the housing element, you cannot count the JADU as part of your housing element. So my question for you is this: if he builds an ADU and a JADU, will he get a 50% discount on the JADU as well?
So the resolution that was passed at the meeting on July 21st, and I'm just looking it up to confirm as I'm speaking here, I believe was specific to ADUs or residential units created through the SB 9 regulations. So existing properties are entitled to, of course, the main house, the ADU, and without an urban lot split under SB 9, there could be a third unit of 800 square feet under SB 9.
No, he's not. He doesn't want to do SB 9. He just wants to have 2 units, right? 2 ADUs. One, let's say 800 square foot ADU. And then the other one is a JADU. And so the question now becomes, does he get a 50% discount off of the second ADU?
Not the JADU, only the ordinance, or I'm sorry, the resolution that was approved by the city council for the fee reduction was specific to accessory dwelling units and the additional units created under SB 9. So it would not apply to a JADU.
Okay, I have another resident with another question. He has a pool house that he wants to change into an ADU, but he also has an ADU. Is that permitted?
It would not be. We would need to look and see if one, either the existing ADU or the pool house would meet the SB 9 unit requirements, and they could do it that way. But properties are limited to one ADU per lot.
If the pool house was attached to either the ADU or to the main residence, and meets the size limits for a JADU, it also might be convertible to a JADU as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the question is being asked, do we incentivize JADU? And there's no reason for us to incentivize JADU. It doesn't help us with HCD requirements. So if what they do helps us with the HCD requirements, we incentivize it. Mayor Pro Tem Mekachuk.
If we're in the council member comments and the committee reports, then I would like to say that I attended a Silicon Valley Clean Energy Finance and Administration meeting this week. And we recommended adoption of a budget and a revenue fee going forward, which would continue to have SVC customers receive at least a 2% reduction of whatever PG&E charges. So that's one. The second point that I want to make is I will not be attending the August 16th meeting because I'll be in Scotland. And I think that Council Member Leuthold knows that the importance of Isla, which is an island, so I'll be visiting that and will be unable to attend the meeting. My third point is with respect to the San Jose Mercury News and the great coverage that we got there, where Councilmember Leuthold was quoted from our last meeting, and I received some very positive comments from residents, and people were applying for the permits, and it would be great to have Planner Perkins talk about that briefly, because I think that's some really exciting news for everyone. And I understand one of our council members, also Councilmember Lawler, was walking the streets on the weekend, and she was extremely successful. So I think kudos go out to our staff and to the council members for moving ahead with that. And Councilmember Leuthold was the other ad hoc committee member, and we have worked quite diligently on that. And I think we're on a road to success with that. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Leuthold, since I know you've got to run, if you want to make your comments.
Thank you. Yeah, so actually nothing to report in terms of committees or commissions. In following up, again, as Mr. Mekachuk said, a big thank you to staff and fellow council members and Site and Architecture Commission members who are working hard on the housing element issue and getting out onto the streets. Looking forward to that. I'm going to be pushing some articles, links to the Mercury News, and stirring things up a little bit to lay the foundation for getting out this weekend. I'm going to go on to Nextdoor. I'll be getting some information out that way. On Nextdoor, we do need to be cognizant of the Brown Act. So I would suggest that other council members refrain from participating in any back and forth discussion on any threads I start other than Mr. Mekachuk. And then if anyone starts any other threads, other council members start any other threads or posts, then people who are not Brown Act buddies with them should refrain from participating in those Nextdoor threads. So let's get out there and get these taken care of. It looks like the simple online web sign up is going to be adequate. News from staff is that that should be sufficient. It's a very simple form, basically 5 or 6 entries, and we can probably carry around our notebooks and sign people up that way, or physical hard copies. So looking forward to getting out onto the streets this weekend, and hopefully by the next meeting having a report of a lot of success, and hope everybody else is finding that as well.
I'd like to interject and just make a minor correction with respect to the Brown Act. It was recently amended with respect to social media, I believe last year, to provide that a member of the legislative body shall not respond directly to any communication on any internet-based social media regarding a matter that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body that is made, posted, or shared by any other member. So basically, you can't talk to each other on social media with respect to city business. Full stop.
Okay, so that's good to know. We should make sure that then nobody responds to anyone else's postings and keep them single person only. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And you guys have really done a great job. Your package that you put together is very impressive. Ms. Perkins and the city staff also needs to be commended for helping put all the material together, including door hangers. I mean, that was just amazing to see that. Thank you so much for doing it. Councilmember Turner, you had your hands up.
Yes, I have one question. Is it possible to have a list? Some of the residents have asked me that instead of putting their address, they would like to put in a parcel number. So Diana, do you have a list of readily available online that I could look at to say this is their address and this is their parcel number?
We do not have that information readily available to put into a format that would be usable online, but I do have an Excel file that lists all of the parcel numbers with addresses in the city that I could certainly send to you, if that would be helpful.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully the homeowners all can figure out their parcel number from their deeds or something. Because I don't know if we want to, yeah, if we do it, let's make sure we get the right parcel number in there. Anyway, all right. Any other council member comments or reports? Council member Lawler, did you have any comments?
Not really. I have nothing to report other than the Silicon Valley Animal Control Authority folks will be at our city picnic. And then they will also be having their Pour for Paws annual fundraiser on September 10th. I can forward you information for that when it comes. And I just wanted to ask that Valley Water Commission please be added to the committee commission reports. It's still not there. And that is myself and Mayor Pro Tem Mekachuk. And other than that, like I said, I had a really great time walking the neighborhood with Commissioner Ziedler. We had some great success. People are open and interested. And I look forward to working with her again next weekend. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other committee that's not on there? Councilmember Turner, I saw an email going from you about some committee that you're supposed to be in. Is that showing up here or not? Is that the?
No, Councilmember Turner had another issue regarding the commission reports, but I'll add Valley Water.
That was the ad hoc committee for the emergency preparedness.
Okay, so
I need to start the NICP with the CERT group.
Okay, but do we need to have that listed as part one of the commissions here?
No, it was added to the ad hoc committee.
The ad hoc.
Yeah, but all the ad hocs are listed for a committee commission reports. So
No, the ad hocs are not listed in the committee commission reports. Those are just
yeah. I got it. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Any other council member have any comments? All right, and city manager, I think you've given partial report. Did you have anything further to add?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I have a couple items I'd like to mention this evening. One is our annual city picnic. That is August 21st, beginning at 11:30 a.m. And we have 120 or so residents which have responded so far. So we're looking forward to other residents attending, as well as initial 120, as well as our agency partners, our police department, our fire department, as Ms. Lawler mentioned, our animal control and others. And we're going to anticipate a very wonderful time out at the park. And that is Vasona Park in the usual location. One other item I wanted to speak on, maybe two other items I want to speak on. Highway 9, we're trying to get it cleaned up. There's been a lot of trash lately, the weeds, the landscaping. So a staff is working with Caltrans. Somebody dumped a couch in a ravine. We got a call the other day from one of our residents. Couch is dumped behind their house, but it's a scenic highway. We're doing our best to work with Caltrans to get that thing cleaned up. I think personally they need to put more effort forth in maintaining its beauty. It's kind of needs to come up better than what it is. So just want the residents to be aware that staff is aware of its present condition. We're doing what we can to make it better. And last but not least, I sent you an email earlier this evening about one of our employees who had an equestrian accident. We are circulating a card, hoping for them to get well soon and return to work, Gloisy Gonzalez Langarica. So please look out for that email and send her your best wishes. And we look for a speedy recovery for Gloisy.
Yeah, she's been working hard, so hopefully everything will go well for her. We wish her the best. And thank you for putting that the card out there. One thing I would request you do is invite our county supervisor, Joe Simitian, also to the picnic, and whoever our current assembly member is. I know we are going through changes there, but it'd be good to have them there also. I think that's if you could invite them, and who else?
We will reach out to Joe Simitian and Evan Lowe to attend our picnic.
And our state senator also, so we can at least invite them. So I think.
And Mr. Cortese, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have any comments? Yeah, Councilman Luthor, please go ahead.
Yeah, just one question. Have we closed out the signups for the picnic? And if not, how much longer can we work on suggesting people sign up, especially given we'll be out on the streets over the next few days? Or is that closed out and we should not be promoting the picnic further?
No, it's not closed out yet. You can have them RSVP up until the Friday before August 19th.
All right, you'll have 1,000 people there, so good luck. Any other comments? All right, so we're ready to close. Thank you very much for sharing all your thoughts today. I think this is a very good meeting. We went through a lot of stuff, so have a good night, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.